Thank you once again for joining us today. My name is Sinman, and I'm from the Smart Nation and Digital Government Office. Hashtag Smart Nation Together is an online platform developed to introduce our community to everything tech, as well as introduce digital upskilling opportunities for the community. So this month, we will have a 3-part webinar series on the theme of smart homes. So have you been hearing the word smart homes more often these days, but always wondered what is a smart home and how can they help us in our day-to-day living? So let's find out in today's session. So glad to have with us today, Lynn, our Smart Nation Ambassador, also a Principal Program Manager at Amazon Web Services, as well as Alex later, a local content creator in the smart home space, to share more with us. So Lynn, over to you, please.
Awesome. Let me unmute myself. Thank you everyone for joining. And this is my first time doing the webinar for hashtag Smart Nation Together. So if you see, all the reaction there, I love to be showered with applause or love, all of that part. All those fun things, keep them coming. Thank you very much. As Sinman already said, if you have questions or chat, or questions or anything, just type in, and then I'll pick up the questions and flag it to respond or flag it to the speaker. If you click on raise hand, you can, if you wish to ask question verbally instead, and then we will note that, and when we call your name, you can unmute to speak. So by clicking on the unmute button. Right. So my name is Ling Lei, and I'm a Principal Program Manager at Amazon Web Services. At Amazon, we provide a cloud platform, as you probably know already, not just your delivery service, not just your groceries, not just your books, but we also have a cloud platform. And that actually has enabled a lot of different companies to build their solutions on a smart city with us. And so smart home is an interest of mine. I have been trying to build my home to be smarter and smarter. But for today, I have a very special guest for you, which I'll introduce a bit later. All right. So in the next few weeks, we'll be covering a series of conversation on smart home. And that would allow us to talk on multiple fronts. We will be discussing today the overview of what smart home is, how do they help us in our day-to-day living. We'll go through the overall concepts of smart home, examples of smart home solutions that you can introduce your home. Then next week on the 8th of June, we'll go deeper into how do we use some particular solutions to improve the life for us, and especially for seniors, right? And we will address some of the key benefits of smart homes, especially for you. And then the last week on 15 June, we'll talk about how to make your home smarter, but also addressing some of the key concern that you may have in terms of building smart homes. So you're welcome to stay through all of the series, but in the next few sessions, we will also try to make sure that we capture some of the things that we started this week, so that those will join us later. You don't feel like you're missing out too much from this week. All right. So without further ado, let's dive straight into our topic of today, which is what is a smart home. I really like this quote by Manuel Schreiber, which is, a smart home makes life easier by automating those things that are so annoying in everyday life. And when I think of this quote, I often think of like how many times we are already in bed and we realize that we forgot to turn off the lights. Then we have to get out of bed again, go to turn off the light and going back. And by then, all of the Zen that we try to conjure up have already gone. Or when we want to turn down the music to pick up a call, but somehow we just cannot find the remote control anywhere in the house, right? Or when you're already left on your trip, and then suddenly you remember, oh, the AC is gone. So your AC may be on for the entire trip of yours, and you come back with huge electricity bills. All of that can actually be automated in many ways, a lot easier in a smart home. And that's what we're going to look at today, how to make your life easier by automating those things. So the definition of smart homes, there are many, but the one that I find out there that are particularly interesting and relevant for this topic is a home where appliances and devices are networked, linked together, which allow them to be automatically and remotely controlled from a mobile device or other networked device. That also include devices that allow to use voice control as well. So in that definition, all components in a house would then be networked and store or process data. Then the smart objects, like your phone, like your machines, washing machines, so on and so forth, would adapt to the owners, your own needs. And then all the new support functions and services and can be made available by networking device, right? So you can control them all together. Then you look at an integrated systems where, from your home technologies to appliances, to consumer electronics, to communication equipments and electrics, they're all connected, right? They're all somehow, not somehow, but they're all connected and route and work in your own benefits. So let me just showcase some of the smart home devices out there. You probably come across them already. So for example, here would be a way for you to start using the Google ecosystem, right? So you have here on the far right, the Google Nest Hub, which is an all-in-one control panel, which actually will feature a little bit more closely in the second part of this webinar series. We have the Google Nest Audio, a Google Chromecast here on the far left, together with, that's for a Google TV, a Nest Wi-Fi, which is something that looks like a diffuser in white here, which enhance your Wi-Fi network, and have a camera system as well. Obviously, you can mix and match some of these, all of these devices between systems as long as they're compatible. And the great thing is that a lot of them in the market right now are very compatible with each other. Hold your question, and I know some of you may be dying to ask them these questions, which device you want to buy. We'll get into that a little bit later. Okay. So let me take some examples. This is a smart home in a condo at the Garden Residences in Singapore. So here the owners are both iPhone users. So they wanted to integrate into Apple Home, which is the device here. It was a logical choice. So the owner here thought that it would be useful to have a home monitoring setup prepared. So they had their electricians bring all the power points to where they intended to place the camera, and they put an Acra G2H cameras there. So this is the camera you see in the photos here at the top. And for them, camera is not about security of the home, but more about monitoring activities, which is, as our larger families would find useful. So one thing that they particularly like about the camera is that there's support for Apple HomeKit secure video, which allow them to have the cameras automatically turn on or turn off, especially when they are at home based on their iPhone geolocation. So when the iPhone pick up that the location is at home, the camera will automatically turn off. Right. Some lighting then was achieved through the use of these D1 smart wall switches. And they link all of the traditional dump lights, the strips, even the sophisticated pendant light that you see in the photo here. They're all connected, and therefore they can control the lights on off or the dimmer using smart switches, which really makes sense to them. And finally, to round things up, they also install a smart curtain control that allow the curtains, if you see here in the bottom left corner in the picture here, that can be automatically closed or shut using the control system as well, right? Here is another example of a smart home at an HDB in Punggol. And in this at this home, they use a Google Home system, which is something similar to what I shared with you before. So the homeowner really likes the Google ecosystem, right? So they have the Google Nest Hub, Nest Audio and Minis that we saw earlier. And with those Google smart speakers, the client, the owners would be able to control his whole smart home using his voice anywhere with Google Assistant. So you will see later in a video, our speakers would be able to say, "Hey Google, turn off the lights," or "Hey Google, clean the house," for example. That's how all of these devices can be controlled. Here they also have a smart switches, which is the one that you see here on the wall. This allows us to also similar function to in the previous home, which is turn on, turn off, the devices that link to the smart switches. They also have some hubs and aircon. So in this case, they put a Accra M2 hubs, which is this black round hub that you see on the counter here. And so the hub, beside acting as a Zigbee routers, they can be configured to control the air conditioners and remote control LED cove lights, right? So the air conditioners can be turned off on or off with the voice control or with the mobile device as well. And then to top it off, they also have a smart sensor, which is placed on top of the refrigerator, which is what you see here on the bottom right photos. This motion sensor sits atop the fridge, and then it will turn the kitchen lights on and off between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. when motion is detected. Right? So from there, you can see that it's actually very easy to customize and start integrating some of these features in their in-home, regardless of where you live. You can be in HDB, in a condo, wherever, and you can easily adopt some of these features to make life more convenient. That's the benefits that people who have lived or have leveraged smart home technology often sees. The key ones I often noted is that it help increase security of home. For those who live, away from their loved ones, it can really help with connecting you on a regular basis, helping them keep track of you, keep you company. It can improve the quality of life for you through all these convenience that I just described. But it also enhances healthcare. And this is, I think, some of the benefits that are particularly useful for some of our senior folks. Because I've seen some of the models where they can really bring and create home as a healthcare provider facility. Instead of having to go all the way to a healthcare provider, you can really leveraging some of these technology to turn your home into a proper healthcare service facility. In addition to that, also great is that it can help saving time and money by improving the efficiency of some of the facilities of the gadgets or of the appliances that you use at home. And after all, it really helps increase the sustainability for our Earth. Right? We will cover some of these benefits a lot more in depth in session 2 of this webinar. Now, obviously, it also comes with a lot of concerns. And the key ones that our users often say is that technology of some of the smart homes are not yet fully developed. So it can be vulnerable to hacker attacks, right? Which is some of the things that we probably think more and more these days when we see more examples out there. For some people, for me especially, I particularly find that privacy concern is always high. So I always look out for ways to improve privacy to make sure that the data is protected, the devices cannot be hacked. So in the third session, I'll share with you some of the tips, as well as bringing a colleague of mine from AWS who is a security advisor. So he can really share with you some of the key actions to improve the security of your home. Obviously, some concerns that the devices can be expensive as well, but there's always way to incrementally adopt these technologies and not having to buy everything at once, which makes it more affordable to all of us. But you don't have to take my words for all of that. Today, I have a very special guest, Alex Till. Alex is a local Singapore influencer, I would say. He has his own YouTube channel, and you can see the link here for you to explore later. And Alex is a real big content creator in the smart home space. He has been sharing videos on smart home tech, renovation, and home automations in the past 2 years. The aim starting from knowledge sharing, but over the time, he has really gathered a huge group of followers. And today his channel has close to 30,000 subscribers and over 3 million of lifetime views. Not only, and he's an automation evangelist at home, he's also a seasoned tech at work. He helps organizations drive growth by automating their business processes using enterprise automation technology as a solution engineer at one of the top tech company. And with that, Alex, why don't you get on camera and say hello to our audience today.
All right, am I on camera already?
Yes, he is now. Okay, sorry, I was not sure. I was muting my, so I'm glad that you're up here. We will start today with a quick video tour of Alex's smart home. You can find the full version of this video on the YouTube channel, but for the context today, let's walk through quickly Alex's smart home. Simon, can you help play the video, please?
This video is going to be a full walkthrough of the smart home setup I have now. Here are the topics or areas that I'll be covering in this video. Smart lighting is one of the main key aspects of a smart home. To achieve smart lighting in my place, I have a mixture of smart switches, smart bulbs, and LED light strips. Okay, now I have switched on all the lights. Let's have a quick rundown of which is which. I'll point out those that are smart bulbs or LED strip. For the rest of the lights you see are powered by smart switches. Okay, for kitchen, all smart switches. In the living room, this is the smart strip for the TV backlight, a smart bulb for that standing lamp. For the study room, each of the desks will be a smart strip. This is a smart bulb. Toilets don't have, gym room don't have. Then for this room, again, another light strip for the TV, then another one here. Toilets don't have. Then for the master bedroom, it's just these two smart bulbs for the bedside. Basically, for a smart switch, it just allows you to control the on and off state, nothing more. Let's be real, taking out your phone, going to an app to access your smart home devices is not convenient at all. Fully relying on voice assistants also don't make sense all the time. For example, you have TV or videos playing in the background, then your voice assistant is not picking up what you are saying accurately. Not to mention that it is going to take like at least 10 seconds from saying out the commands to getting a response. So you will want to make use of sensors or wireless button triggers as much as possible to achieve that quick, immediate response on your smart home devices. For sensors, I have motion and contact sensors in my setup, a combination of brands from Xiaomi, Aqara and SmartThings. At my main door, this is the Aqara contact sensor. Once the door is open, it will switch on the entrance light. My kitchen has a Xiaomi motion sensor. After sunset, once you enter, it will switch on the main kitchen light. This is the SmartThings motion sensor placed in my toilet. Automatically switch on the lights when motion is detected and automatically switch off when no motion detected after 5 minutes. And lastly, SmartThings contact sensor for my bedroom wardrobe. Once open, switch on the track light, and once closed, it will switch it off after 30 seconds. Then lastly, this small little SmartThings button in my master bedroom, whether it's on the bedside table or stick it somewhere, totally up to you. Most houses will just have wall switches beside your bed, which you can't reach them easily unless you kind of sit upright or stretch all the way for it. That's what makes these wireless switches so convenient. So I configured this to switch on my bedside light if I do a single press. Double press will on or off the aircon. Press and hold will open or close the curtain. Smart plugs or sockets are easily one of the easiest ways to start building a smart home. The basic feature is to allow you to control the power input like an on and off switch. You can do some scheduling and combine with the routines you set. These tech-in ones powered by Tuya are pretty basic, but some sockets have additional features. Like the smart plugs from IKEA, this can help you to relay Zigbee signals. Then I also have smart plugs from Casa TP-Link that comes with energy monitoring. I can't tell you how much I love a smart blind or a smart curtain solution. It really easily saves you a lot of time and effort opening and closing it multiple times every day, especially for those working from home. I have the Akara curtain motor with day curtains for my living room and blackout curtain for my master bedroom. Somfy motors with blackout blinds for living room and study room. Soma Smart Shade for my gym room and the Akara Smart Blind E1 for my entertainment room. These two are retrofit solutions. There are more and more home appliances that are starting to get natively smart and incorporating some smart features on them. In the SmartThings platform, you can add a bunch of these like air purifier, fridge, washing machine and robot vacuum. Of course, they must all be from Samsung. Unfortunately, I only have a Samsung branded TV and their robot vacuum. Talking about robot vacuum, they are a savior, one of the best inventions. I've been using the Samsung JetBot Plus with the auto empty station for the past 3 months, but I'm going to start testing out the Roborock S7 and Dbot T9 for the next 3 months, so expect a comparison review video of these three sometime in December. If the home appliance is not natively smart but has a remote control for them, then you can use a IR/RI Buster solution to control that remote control. I have a combination of 3 brands here: Switchboard, Broadlink and Akara. In my study room, I placed this switchboard hub on my desk that kind of looks like my company logo now. This will control my living room TV and aircon. Broadlink RM4 Pro in my kitchen to control the laundry rack and ceiling fans via RF. A switchboard hub mini in my master bedroom to control the aircon. And lastly, the Akara M2 hub in my entertainment room to control the TV and aircon. One of the biggest selling points of staying in Singapore is because it's super safe over here. So there isn't a huge emphasis on home security unlike other countries. And also generally for apartment houses like a HDB, there isn't much you can and need to do. For Smart Doorbell, I'm still using the same, which is the Smart Doorbell by Ring. But instead of using the Ring app, I have it integrated inside the SmartThings app instead, and basically using it via SmartThings because somehow I find that it's more responsive than using their own app. So I have motion sensor set. Whenever motion is detected in the defined area that you set in the Ring app, SmartThings will send a notification to my phone. Here is a demo to show you how fast I will receive the notification. I also have an automation set that whenever the doorbell is pressed, it will switch on my dining light and automatically switch it off after 10 seconds. This is very good because most of the time I'm not looking at my phone when I'm at home, and especially if I am in an online meeting, then at least you have that visual notification. Next, I'm going to talk about the indoor cameras that I have installed. I have one place in the living room, one place in the kitchen, and one place in the master bedroom to cover all the areas I like to monitor. And the only reason why I installed these cameras is for this guy. The last item I have under home security is the smart door lock. So I'm using the Xiaomi Bluetooth smart door lock, which is the only device left in my Mi Home app. Like I said in my previous Q&A video, if I know that I'll be using the SmartThings solution, I will have gotten a compatible supported lock inside the SmartThings platform instead. Nonetheless, I can still set and manage user profiles on this lock, which is super useful. It also has a full log with timestamps on all the events going on. There are a bunch of automation you can set, but since I'm not using Mi Home anymore, I can't make use of them. So this is the difference between a smart door lock and a normal digital lock. A smart door lock will have all these software features that you can set. Your home network is very crucial of how well your smart home is going to perform. For any smart home setup, I will always recommend you to get a mesh Wi-Fi system. It is the best and easiest way to get strong Wi-Fi coverage and signal for all your smart home devices using a single broadcast network ID. At the same time, not powerful to the extent of interrupting your neighbor's Wi-Fi, which is what you will want in terms of security and performance. Voice assistants. There are basically only two choices for me here since I'm not an iPhone user. That means Google or Alexa. One of the benefits of using a central hub-based smart home solution is you are flexible to use any voice assistant, or even both if you want. For my case, I'm using Google Home. There are basically only three ways to trigger your voice assistant. One is of course using your mobile phone. The other two are using either a smart speaker or a smart display device. I don't have a specific brand preference in the world of speakers, so I will always prefer those that comes with a voice assistant or integration with SmartThings. For me, in my living room, I have the Boss 500 soundbar linked to Google Home. I turn the sensitivity to the max so that I can pretty much trigger Google Assistant even when I'm in the study room or even in the kitchen. Of course, that will also depend on how loud is your voice. Google TV time.
Enjoy watching.
In my master bedroom, I now place my Google Nest Hub display on my bedside table. Besides having voice assistant, this kind of smart display also double as a photo frame, a clock, providing smart home controls, and also let you do video calls. What I have here is the second gen Nest Hub. So one of the new features is sleep sensing. Instead of wearing a smartwatch to do sleep tracking, the Google Nest Hub can now do that using sensors and sound. I have been playing around with this lately, pretty interesting. With this smart speaker setup, I can do message broadcasting like a PA system, which I find it quite cool and funny at the same time.
Wake up, breakfast is ready.
There's no perfect solution out there. As long as it works for you, you are benefiting from it and enjoying it on your everyday life, then that's good enough. And that's all for this first part video of my 2021 Smart Home Tour.
All right, awesome. Alex, I think that was fantastic. I think you must have got a lot of feedback, a lot of likes from all those videos, no? I'm always it's super well done, I have to say. And thankfully, like today, that you are at home as well. So if there is any question on any of those particular devices, maybe you can show us around as well.
Sure. I mean, it feels a little bit weird now watching back the video that I did like last year, September. So few things have changed, of course, from then till now. Yeah.
What are some of the things that you've noticed that have changed since then?
Okay, so I mean, things will change depending on lifestyles and different things. So, for example, like before I have a pet dog, I have a different kind of way of living and a different kind of setup. So once I have my dog, then for example, I need to install some IP cameras in the house to monitor his movement, those kind of things, and also because I don't want him to go to some areas of my house, so more often I will close my door instead of leaving them open all the time, like how I used to have it. So things like that, you will like kind of have some automations to make it happen whenever you open maybe your toilet doors or your gym room door, these kind of things that will kind of change along the way depending on your lifestyle. Yeah. And of course, new products that you come to know of that you find it might be a better upgrade to your setup, or things that you think that you might not need anymore, then you can always constantly change things up. Yeah, basically that's it.
Awesome. So maybe we back to much earlier when you started all of this. What prompted you to first create your smart home? I know obviously you're very interested in tech, but your smart home, living in that, in being in the living lab of smart home, what prompted you to create all of that?
I think it goes back to the first time I experienced what a smart home feels like in a hotel setting. So when I do my overseas work trips, you get to stay in various hotels. They usually have controls at the bedside. Some have like a tablet screen mounted on the wall where there is a dashboard for you to control like the lights, curtains, air conditioner, or ask for room service and so on. So that's when I feel like all this is very cool. I want this for my home as well.
Yeah.
Then maybe another part of the reason I would say is because my work, like you introduced myself just now, I pitch about automation at work. So I kind of want to bring that to a home environment as well and be like an automation evangelist. So in a way, I feel like it's more convincing that way. For example, if you're working in the tech industry, you need to be a little bit more tech savvy, at least a minimum standard. Then, like for example, if you have a fitness instructor, then you have to at least look fit, something like that. So then of course, just nice during that time, I just bought my resale HDB. So I think why not?
That was a great time. But for those some of us here who cannot experience the hotel automation or going to see home demos, I know that there are some of the companies here that have like smart home demos, in Singapore, where you advise them to go see.
I think over the last 2 years, there's an increasing number of smart home companies in Singapore. I think mainly it's because of COVID situation as well. Then more people work from home. There is more and more demand for that. So that results in more of these companies coming out to sell smart home solutions. So I think a lot of them have collaboration with ID companies, renovation ID companies. So if you visit those ID companies showroom, they will also have like a smart home setup together as well. So to kind of put this together as one whole package. So yeah, I can see that this is getting more like a norm right now. If people are looking to renovate their house, they will at the same time consider having a smart home at the same time. Yeah.
I start seeing some of the questions coming in, and I think some of them are super technical. As I warned you before, I warned you before that definitely and I love that because our audience is super tech savvy. They're already asking very specific questions. Okay, so let's start with some easy going first. Why did you have lights? Why did you have lights around the TV?
Why do I? Okay, so I think it gives you a much better TV experience in terms from the entertainment perspective. When you watch TV and you have lights that is able to change based on the different lightings on your TV screens, then it's able to project that at the back of the wall. Then overall, I would say it really brings that kind of different kind of experience to you. So not just TV backlights, overall in the entire home, having different RGB, we call it RGB lights, all right? Sometimes it just gives you some little sparks here and there, the different kind of elements, instead of, very boring, just white lights or, the traditional warm light and for the entire house. At least you can have some kind of different accent lightings here and there that kind of give a different feel to the overall house.
Awesome. And to be honest, it's actually also a nice way to do backlights, which is fantastic, right?
Yeah, for your YouTube studio.
Exactly, for the ID, the DIY, the ID in us. Are there smart controllers available for roller blinds? Well, I guess we answer that in the videos itself. But are there a lot of options out there that you see for roller blinds?
Smart controllers, okay, first of all, smart blinds and smart curtains are really one of the best things I feel that every house should go ahead and get it. In the beginning, you mentioned about the definition, which one is the most annoying thing that in the house, right? I think opening all the curtains and blinds is one of the most annoying thing for me. So it's really a blessing when you have that automated for you. So back to the question, do we have any different type of controllers? I'm not sure whether the question is asking about the different brands or specifically how do you actually activate the different ways to open or close the curtains. So if you're looking at different solutions, I think there is quite a number out there. Like for myself, I'm using a combination of Somfy, Akara, and Soma. There's also from Switchboard as well. So there are lots of choices in terms of Windows treatment kind of solutions. Then in terms of how do you actually control that, of course, it goes back to the different ways of triggering your smart home devices. So using voice is one of them. Using, of course, automations based on sensors, or automations based on certain time of the day. Like for example, every day in the morning, 8 a.m., it will automatically open up for you. Then in terms of triggering devices, like maybe this kind of wireless switches that you can put it anywhere in the house. And when you have it integrated as a whole complete system, once I press a button, then it will open up the curtain, for example. So all this is up to you how you like to set your automations.
Indeed. And actually, I'd say in a way, it also protect your the railing for the curtain as well. Because for me, I know that if someday I close my curtain with with more vigor, and eventually, and eventually over the time, I start seeing all of these bugs getting ruined. So definitely to have a consistent force doing it every day, I think it probably would last everything a little bit longer. Indeed, yeah.
Another one thing that I observed with those curtains tracks is if you don't have it smart curtain tracks, whenever the wind is very strong, it will automatically move your curtain, sometimes. Yeah. Yes. So once if you have it smart, it will kind of lock that curtain in place, and you don't need to tie the curtain at the side, which is another chore to me, Every time when I draw open the curtains, I need to go and tie it at the side. All this is so troublesome. So once you have it automated, you can just open it and just, you can just go and do your own things at the same time.
Indeed, indeed. Next questions. How many sensors, if let's say to trigger 3 areas, and I guess in your home, you divide into 3 big areas, right? How many sensors? And here, I assume it's particular to lighting or in general sensors?
Maybe in general sensors, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, so sensors is always depending on where you put it. The positioning of the sensor matters a lot. Let's say if you don't want it to detect your motion, for example, at certain areas, you make sure it is hidden in such an angle that it's facing the area that you want the motion to be detected only. Yeah. Then, so in the living hall example, for example, if you want it to be detected somewhere in your dining area, then maybe you want to have one near a dining area, and maybe at a corridor area, then if you want to have sensors as well, you can have another one there. So it doesn't really kind of limit or restrict the number. It depends on the kind of line of sight for the sensors, because blind spots, then it will not be able to detect. Then for areas that is relatively small, like for example, in your bathroom, your toilets, it's like a very squarish size. So you kind of put it in one corner. Whenever you enter, it can straight away detect the motion. Then it will switch on the lights, for example, for you, or switch on the exhaust. Yeah, things like that.
Yeah.
Then for door sensors, it will be stick at the door. If you want it to happen at the door, then every door will need one. If you want it,
Usually, the way I like to think about sensors as well is think of it as your lifestyle. How do you walk through your apartment during the day, right? Or through the day? Or what do you do in your apartment and walk back from and work backward from there in terms of designing where your sensors need to be placed, how you control your devices, so on and so forth, right? Because at the end of the day, the device should adapt to you, not the other way around, right? So I think so how I would think about it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So another question is on smart plugs. For high-powered appliances like fridge, TV, or oven, is it true that we need to look at the ampere rating?
Okay, so first of all, I don't think you want a smart plug for your fridge, because you want the fridge should be constantly switched on. You want to have smart plugs to control the on and off state. So things like TV, I don't think there is a of course, there is a certain amount of load, I would say, when you want to play safe and look at it. There is such rating, so you just make sure that it doesn't really exceed that rating too much, lah. Yeah, but generally, if you get these devices from Singapore, if they have the the Singapore safety logo mark, then most likely it is very safe to use these devices. And also just go back to each individual's device specs and check with the seller whether there's any issues to just get some kind of confirmation. For myself, I use it at my TV console area. So I have connected my TV, soundbar, my PlayStation as well, So when I have it all on at the same time, it doesn't have any issues for mine. Yeah.
I think there's a related one because I think Edwin saw in your video there are some with 10 ampere and the other one say 13. How did you decide which one to choose, and how do you make sure that they all aligned with each other?
Okay. Well, this is getting a little bit electrical kind of technicality there.
I told you it's gonna be technical.
Okay, so certain devices, I think it follows the different country standards. Yeah. So for example, for Singapore, it's operating at 230 volts. For US, it is at a different level. So when you purchase devices that has a different kind of electricity currents going through, most of which they will recommend you to get a transformer to step down the electricity. Yeah, for example. So I think you need to be cautious using devices or appliances that you bought from overseas and using it for different kind of electrical input. Yeah. So I think that is more along that line rather than it's more for smart plugs as a general.
Okay, one more technical questions, and then we'll move on to some more broader questions. Does the network require wiring, cabling, set embedded in the wall, or is it entirely wireless?
This is referring to your Wi-Fi network. I'll presume so, this is referring to the Wi-Fi network. Of course, if you're doing renovation, then during that time, you can do all this embedded conceal cabling works. It will look nicer. If not, then there's always using casing at your wall. So you have all this casing sticking in your wall where the wires are it's not concealed inside the wall. That can be done, just that aesthetically is not very nice. Then wireless or wired, of course, there is a difference. Wired will definitely give you a much better performance and assurance that there is no latency. Wireless, in a sense that it depends on the house layout as well. For Singapore HDB, our house is not like overseas where their walls are kind of hollow walls. Ours is really concrete stone walls, signals and all these different radio waves will have difficulty passing through, penetrating these walls. So a lot of times, although you see some specifications that these devices can reach to a very large area, but because of how our HDB homes are structured, all these radio waves are bouncing off each other, not being able to penetrate. Then you kind of need to have more of such devices at different parts of the house if you want to get a good coverage of your Wi-Fi.
Okay, fine. I think it's time to move on to some of the other topics that I think for the broader audience who are less technical as well. If this is some question on the costs, what was the total cost in setting up your smart home? And I know, I guess you probably did it over the long period of time. So
yeah, exactly.
You can answer it from what would be the basic investment costs, or what the average cost that you were seeing out there for standard set.
Okay, so the definition of that is very hard to say because like what you mentioned is over a long period of time, and certain devices, like whether you include that inside that cost itself. So maybe take for example a smart robot vacuum costs maybe $1,000 already. Yeah, but this is like one of the best thing inside a house where it can really save you so much time. But if you look at smaller kind of from the perspective of light switches only, then you just need to purchase light switches depending on how many light switches you have at home. One costs about $30, you're able to get one. Then include in the electrician work to do all this wiring for you. I would say including some basic sensors and the hubs to get this working, and maybe one smart speaker or smart display. For the initial investment, I would say maybe you can factor in a budget of 1K. You should be able to get some of these basic things set up. Then along the way, as you experience and try out all these smart devices, you will have your own set of new requirements that you want, things that you want. So from there, then you progressively upgrade and change your setup. Like for my case, it's also a similar kind of scenario where I started very, very small. Then slowly over time, I grow and grow more devices. Now I have like close to 80 devices at home. Yeah.
I fear not, our audience. Maybe as Alex said, you start from something very basic and then you keep adding the device as you see fit. And I have to also add that in the market now, the products are also becoming cheaper and cheaper. And you also have options of looking at either secondhand or even on Carousel. In fact, we bought our Google Nest Hub. Oh, sorry, great. Sorry. This is, funny enough, this is a question that you just asked about automatic power failure. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Yeah. Just nice. I see a question. What happened if there's a blackout? Then just nice.
How awesome is that? Because that segue perfectly into my next questions. What happened if there is a blackout?
Yeah, somehow I feel that did you purposely make this setup to happen?
That's a secret I will never tell.
Okay, so the thing is, with all these smart devices, you should make it that they'll still be able to operate when the normal way. Without the smart element, they still behave the normal way of how you use it. Yeah, so I think that is also one of the concern when you plan out your smart home. Yeah.
I think one of the things I see out there, right, is not all of device, even in the case of power failure, there are devices that obviously would not make sense, because even, let's say, if it's connected to your air conditioner and the power is out, then obviously your air conditioner will not work either. But in some of the smart devices like smart locks, they may also have their own power storage,
battery operated.
Exactly, which allow them to operate and continue to operate even in power failure conditions, right? Have you experienced any of that in your case?
I think generally for Singapore, you don't experience that very often. I'm not sure about other countries, but in Singapore, in the area that I live in, the block, I don't think we have really like a power outage, this kind of things happening that often. Yeah. So
Exactly.
Not something that I would really keep that in my mind all the time. I mean, if the entire block cuts off the power, then you will have to go back to your candles. No choice.
But I guess every now and then the Wi-Fi may actually goes down, and then that's when you you have to reset it. That's probably as max that you need to be concerned about in Singapore.
So that's another factor of considering of your smart home solution, is to go with local automation instead of solutions that require Wi-Fi connection. Yeah, so this is something that you can progressively change to have these locally set up instead of relying on cloud services.
Indeed. Very, very cool. And I think a lot of that leads to the last two questions is, how do we start, right? So as for many of our audience who are seniors and who live together, what would be the best way for them to start with establishing their smart home? Is there any services out there who can come and help them, who can assist, or even down the road when there's anything happen that out of their ability to fix?
Okay, First of all, I want to stress the importance of having a smart home, especially if the house has elderly. Even so, this is even more when the elderly has wheelchair bound or have movement problems. So you will definitely need to have some sort of IP cameras around the house and something for them to, emergency be able to contact you, or control devices where it's difficult for them to reach. So having a smart home, especially in the elderly house, is so important. In terms of how to get this started, definitely, if you are tech savvy or if you have certain level of interest, you can just go to YouTube, watch my videos or other smart home YouTubers to go through some of this. And they have very basic kind of videos to talk about how to actually get started with some smart home devices. Yeah, so but provided you have the interest to go and watch and time to watch those videos. If not, there's definitely a lot, like I mentioned, a lot more companies right now providing this kind of smart home consultancy services, and helping you to do all the installation and handing over the setup back to you once the project is done. Yeah, so you can engage this kind of company, definitely, but of course it's a little bit more costly as DIY it yourself lah. Yeah. Then I would say that even if you engage a company, eventually you will be the one staying in that house, operating that in a day-to-day manner. So you still have to know a little bit on how to maintain the system, or maybe how to actually add on new devices, new requirements, change the automation settings, all this as and when you want.
Um, I hope that maybe with these services, they would also leave you with a manual of how to take care of some of these issues or troubleshoot in case some of these things happens, which I think for our seniors, it's more comforting to definitely use some of these service to begin with. But if for those who are tech savvy and who are keen to learn, definitely check out Alex's YouTube channel. I personally have been learning a lot, and so I'm putting together a list of what's to buy next. So definitely, we'll see more and more smart homes coming up in around Singapore. I know there's a questions here on whether this is the thing in the years to come. I think it's already here. I'm seeing a lot of smart homes to varying extents, right? Varying degrees. Could be just a simple smart lighting to a full automated system to many gadgets. So yes, please check out these videos for your inspiration, and we'll dive deeper into some of these topics, especially how this benefits for seniors in the next sessions. We only have a few minutes left, so I want to make sure that I call out that we have a official YouTube page to view the past webinars, including this one. And Simon have already left the address here for you to see. Simon, I understand that you probably will put up the QR code for a little review for the audience to leave feedback. So before you do that, let me thank Alex for his time today and for the wonderful insight that you share. Alex, this is super. I hope that everyone is as inspired as I am to continue with our smart home journey. So thank you, and hope you come back and show us more in your YouTube channels. All right.
Sure. So if you have any questions that is unanswered, my IG is always open, so you can always DM me the questions if you want. Yeah. No worries.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us in the full hour today. And sorry if we haven't answered your questions, but hope that I think largely everything has been responded to. You can find us, obviously this is Alex YouTube channel. Yes, so do yes. No, I'm voting for you. I will continue to vote for you. But then the next one you will see this is the QR code for you to scan, or you can go to the address where you can give us the feedback for the session today. So the more feedback that you can give, the more it helps us identify how to craft the next sessions for you. So thank you again for joining, and we hope to see you in the next sessions as well. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.